Hello, my dear students. Today we are going to study chapter number 8 of your book Hornbill, that is Silk Road, written by Nick Middleton. Dear students, since this chapter is a lengthy one, I will be covering this chapter in two videos. So in this video, I have covered part 1 of the chapter. So let's begin. Let's read about the author first. Nick Middleton. He was born in 1960 in London. He is an award-winning British geographer, writer and presenter of television documentaries. He is also an environmental scientist and a lecturer in Oxford University. A Royal Geographical Society award-winning author, in 2002, he works, teaches and communicates on a wide variety of geographical, travel and environmental issues for a broad range of audiences, for every kind of audiences. Then he is also an author of several travel books, including the stunning gift book An Atlas of Countries That Don't Exist, and his bestseller book Going to Extremes, which was part of a number of television series he wrote. And he also presented for Channel 4 and the National Geographic Channel on extreme environments and the people who live in them. Then his TV documentaries have been broadcast all over the world, and his books have also been translated into more than a dozen languages. Now, after reading this chapter, you should be able to recall the key details of the story. You should be able to summarize the main events, the key events of the story in your own language. Then you should be able to relate the challenges and problems the author of the chapter faces while traveling. Let's read some background information about the Silk Road. Silk Road, also called Silk Route, was an ancient trade route that dated from the 2nd century BC until the 14th century AD. It stretched from Asia to the Mediterranean, moving across China, India, Persia, Arabia, Greece and Italy. It was called the Silk Route because of the heavy silk trading that took place during that period. And this valuable fabric, silk, originated in China, which initially had a monopoly on silk production, but later on all of the secrets got spread and its creation also got spread amongst other countries. Here are the characters of the story. First of all, Nick Middleton himself, who is the author as well as the narrator of the story. He is an adventurous person and he considers the travel a chance to research on various topics like altitude and its effect on the human body. So, as we know that he is a geographer also, so he is interested in such kind of topics like altitude and its effect. Next is Daniel. Daniel is author's friend in the chapter who accompanied him on the journey. Then is Setan. Setan is an efficient driver hired by the author. During the journey, he spoke to the author and gave important details of the places they were passing by. And when he found the author was not well, he took him to the medical college and cared for his health. He was a good Buddhist and he believed that death is not the end of life. There is a life after death also. Nick Middleton is an adventurer who likes to make long, difficult treks and journeys to the far-flung areas. He is also deeply interested in performing the Kora. Kora is a pilgrimage, that is a Tirth Yatra, to Mount Kailash. So that's why he takes up this difficult journey of Silk Road. Now the chapter is a travelogue. Travelogue means a book on travels. Travelogue which presents a wider view of mountain Kailash. The chapter also describes the challenges and the hardships faced by the author during his journey, which begins from the slopes of Ravu to Mount Kailash. He wants to go to Mount Kailash to complete his Kora, to complete the pilgrimage. Then the author hires Setan as you know, Satan is the driver. He hires Satan and takes along Daniel as his companion to Darchan. Then consequently, we learn about his journey and his experience through the Silk Road. Though he faces a lot of difficulties, but he is able to complete his pilgrimage due to his undeterred faith. Let's talk about the title, why this article has been named Silk Road. First of all, the road that Nick Middleton travelled on in Tibet while going towards Mount Kailash was part of the important network of routes used in ancient times to do trades, the Silk Route, which we talked about earlier in the background information. That was the part of his journey. Secondly, mostly snow-covered roads and white landscape give the impression of raw silk. That is why the chapter has been titled Silk Road. Let's understand the chapter in detail. Leaving Ravu for Mount Kailash. So, as I have already mentioned that his journey started from Ravu. So, the author left Ravu in the company of Daniel and Satan. At Ravu, Lamo was the lady who had provided them accommodation. So, that lady gave Nick Middleton a long-sleeved sheepskin coat as a farewell gift. When she got to know that he had to go to the Mount Kailash, he had to complete his Kora. So she thought that the author was not having enough warm clothes, so she gifted him a long-sleeved sheepskin coat. And their journey began with the break of the day. Then Satan, his driver, suggested to take a shortcut to avoid Shangtang in the middle. So he wanted to take the author directly to Mount Kailash. He didn't want to go to Shangtang first and then to Mount Kailash. So he decided to take a shorter route. Now he told him that this route involved two difficulties. The first one was there were a lot of high mountain passes. Secondly, there were huge snow stretches that could present difficulty for them. So from the gently rolling hills of Ravu, they drove across vast open fields. They saw a lot of gazelles grazing in the open fields, and they saw wild asses raising a lot of dust while galloping together. You can see in the second and the third picture. In the second picture, there is a gazelle, and in the third picture, there are some wild asses. And they have been named as Kiang in the chapter, the wild asses. Kiang. Then they passed through the grassy, stony and the rocky areas. Next, they moved from rocks and stones towards the hills, where they saw the lonely, well-wrapped Drokbas tending their flocks of sheep. Drokbas means shepherds. They saw many men and women shepherds who were well-wrapped, and they just paused and stared at their car when they were passing by. They also waved at them occasionally. Then as the car approached them, the sheep dispersed in fear. They got scared and they started dispersing quickly. Then as they passed the nomads' tents, nomads are the people traveling from place to place to find fresh pasture for their animals, and they have no permanent place to live. Basically, the wanderers who keep on wandering, they are called nomads. So as their car passed the nomads' tents, they saw some alert, massive black Tibetan Mastiff dogs, and they were guarding their tents. Usually these dogs wore bright red collars, and they kept on barking and running behind the vehicles fearlessly. These same breed dogs, these Mastiff dogs, were used as hunting dogs in Chinese imperial courts because they are known for their agility. Agility means activeness, and their single track mindedness. That is why they were used as hunting dogs in the Chinese courts in the earlier times. Then the author, along with his companions, encountered the first blockage. They could now see the snow-capped mountains. Snow-capped means snow-covered mountains. They entered a valley where the river was clogged with ice. Sitan continued to climb the slopes of hills, and as he continued to climb, a pressure was building up in Nick's ears. He was feeling a pressure in his ears, and he tried to clear this pressure by snorting and holding his nose. Then they came across sharper turns and bumpier roads. Their car moved in the third gear. Then there was sudden and unexpected snowfall which blocked their way. Then they witnessed a 15 meters stretch of drifted snow, a piled up snow. Though the snow was not too deep, yet there was a fear of slipping. There was a fear of the icy layer at the top. Their car could slip and their car could turn over that. So what Sitan did, Sitan threw a handful of soil on the patch of the snow, and then he drove over the patch safely, while the author and Daniel stayed out of the car to keep it light so that it is not burdened. Then they came across their second blockage immediately after 10 minutes. They faced another stretch of ice, but this time Sitan drove around the snow quite skillfully. And after that there was a steep slope with huge rocks and stones, but Sitan again managed to move ahead. Then when they reached around 5,400 meters above the sea level, Nick started feeling a severe headache. He started getting a throbbing in his head, and in order to relieve himself of his headache, he drank some water from his bottle. After that, all three of them reached 5,515 meters above the sea level, where the atmospheric pressure was very low. So there Nick Middleton saw a cane of rocks, and all of them took a turn in clockwise direction around that cane of rocks. Cane of rocks is steep heap of stones you can see in the pictures, decorated with silk cloth and prayer flags as per the tradition. They took a turn. Then Sitan checked tires and partially opened the lid of the petrol tank to release the evaporated fuel. Now what happened was the fuel got expanded due to the low atmospheric pressure. That is why he opened the lid partially. Then Nick's headache started reducing as they drove down the other side. So they stopped at a work camp where they took lunch. They stopped at a work camp near the dry salt lake. That plateau was dotted with salt flats and saltish lakes, and there were remains of Tigris Ocean which bordered Tibet before the collision of great continents and lifting of the earth to form the Himalayas. So Salt Lake, near which they stopped, that was the hub of activity. There were workers digging out the salt and putting it on blue trucks. The next is the town of Hor. They reached the town by late afternoon on the main east-west highway, the highway that followed the old trade route from Lhasa to Kashmir. So from there Daniel wanted to go back to Lhasa, so he took a ride in a truck which was actually going to Lhasa. Sitan fixed the two punctured tires of the car. Now this town of Hor, this is located on the shore of Lake Mansarovar. Lake Mansarovar, which is considered as Tibet's most respected stretch of water. It is also considered a source of four great Indian rivers by the Hindu and Buddhist scriptures. The four great rivers, the Indus, the Ganga, the Satluj and the Brahmaputra. Actually, only Satluj flows from the lake. The headwaters of all the other rivers rise nearby on the sides of Mount Kailash. Now this town of Hor was actually a miserable place with no vegetation, There was just dust, rocks, and rubbish all around. And the place was no more holy as earlier. As earlier it was considered a holy place, it did not look holy anymore. The author has totally different experience of the Lake Mansarovar, because he had heard a lot about the experiences of the travelers about Lake Mansarovar, and their experiences were awesome. But Nick Middleton had an experience in contrast. He was disappointed to see the place. Then the author also had some tea in Hoare's only cafe, the cafe which was badly constructed and had also 3 broken windows. So dear students, this was the part 1 of your chapter. We are stopping here, and rest of the chapter will be covered in the next part. Thank you and have a nice day.